And we are back. And we're actually back with another Hot Wheels Redline. Now this is not part of the Sweet 16. This is actually a 1976 American tipper. But it is a Redline. And I'll put a link in the description below to the Hot Wheels Redline guide. And that'll show you that it is a Redline. And you can obviously tell by the Redline wheels. If you watched the video before this one, my last video was selling the Sweet 16 with a custom made case on eBay, and actually it did sell. I made a little bit of a mistake. I wasn't available for part of the auction, and I had some offers for the first auction that were over what it actually sold for this time, and I didn't get a chance to respond to those. My notifications were turned off, and then I had to go out of town for work actually, so I missed a couple of those offers and got $100 or so less than I could have gotten. But all in all, it sold for a great price, and the new owner has already messaged me and he's extremely happy with the set, and that's the most important thing. I made that long detailed video just so there was nothing hidden and everybody knew the flaws of the cars, and this person happens to be happier than I could have ever imagined. But anyway, we're gonna tackle this Redline. Now it is missing the dump bed, as I mentioned, and I'm going to try to source one of those. I may not have it in this video. I was going to 3D print one, and I tried to create one in Fusion, and it just did not turn out right. And I don't know what the original one looked like. That's part of the problem. Well, I know by a picture, but I don't know how it connects. I don't have any pictures of the bottom portion of how that dump actually connects to the Hot Wheels casting. So I may end up biting the bullet and spending the 13 bucks or whatever it is for one on eBay that is 3D printed. I've actually reached out to that person and asked them if they could possibly just send me the file. They probably won't because they think I'm going to resell it, which I'm not. I just want to, I'll buy the file for 10 bucks, print it, and be done with it just to get this one going. But a lot of them on eBay are missing the dump bed, so we may or may not have the dump bed at the end of this video. That remains to be seen. We're going to have a little bit closer look. It's not horrible. I mean, it's missing some paint, and somebody has decided to, looks like maybe draw an arrow down the middle of it. The wheels, I'm going to clean those up. I think I'm going to just reuse those wheels. I'm not going to get any knockoffs or reproductions. I have plenty of them, but these are not in horrible shape. Actually, all the Redline portion is pretty much there. And if you notice some of the later restorations I was doing of the Sweet 16, I was leaving the original wheels. Initially, I was just replacing them, making them look new, but I think as long as the wheels are in good shape, I think that is the best route to go. I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments. So aside from maybe the dump portion, this is going to be a basic restoration. We've only got one rivet. We're going to drill that out, and then it clips or hooks onto the back. So literally we got to undo this, snip out the wheels, strip the casting. The windshield or the windows are black. That is normal if you look at everything on the Redline guide. Now this appears to be bent a little bit. I'm going to straighten that out. I assume that's not supposed to be bent in the back. Again, I do not know what the original bed looked like, but it looks off, so I'm going to flatten that out. And that should be it. We'll paint it red. We've got some replacement paint from the Redline Shop, and we'll go from there. I thought about polishing up real nice and of course spectraflaming it. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to, but I don't know where this video is going to go. So it's kind of fun. We're going to go ahead and get started, and we'll see where we end up at. We've got a little watch holder here. This is not necessary. I will post a link in the video, in the description below the video actually. I like these. They hold the castings pretty well, and they're adjustable and all that. And the reason why I use these, I've had a few people comment, but about 3-4 years ago, I was doing a restoration or something, and I had a small drill bit go right through my first finger there, and that was pretty painful. Ever since then, I've kept the sausages well away from any drill bits. Life lessons. Now, most of my videos, I'll take a center punch the center, and then start drilling it out with a larger drill bit. But some of them, I actually use a Dremel, and I kind of grind it down to a concave shape with this style of bit here. I think I'm going to do the same thing in this one. I just change it up from time to time. Sometimes when you center punch it, if you don't get it exactly in the center, or if it just strays a little bit, you'll end up with a crooked or a misaligned hole. And this one has like a little tip on it, so there's a good chance that could happen. So we're just going to grind it out. And there you have it. See, we didn't hit the case at all, or the base rather, and it's perfectly in the center. And since we grinded it all out, we don't have to pry it apart. And there we go. Makes it real nice and easy. Now, from what I read, I don't believe these have an interior. Yeah, they don't. So we will pull out this. This should just be the glass. There we go. And there is the glass. There is no interior. Next, we will actually file this flat, or we don't really need to, but I'm going to. We're actually going to file a little bit right now. Let's start drilling. And once we've got it drilled, just flatten it off that area, and there is our hole. Next, we can take our tap and then just slowly run the tap in and out. So we'll screw it in until we feel some resistance. And I'm just doing this with 2 fingers. These taps are very, very easy to break. I've only broken, I think, 1 actually, but they are very easy to break. There we go, and we'll back it back out. And we should only need to run it in 1 more time. There we go. And then we could get a screw. Now we can put our screw in. The actual black screws, most of these are self-tapping, so you don't even really need to thread those. Now the stainless or the chrome, those are not. If you heard some noise, I apologize. The screwdriver actually hit the microphone. A little bit of a different angle than I usually shoot at, and I usually don't use the mic, but had a lot of static in my last video that I had to try to edit out. So there it is. And I'll keep this in here because when I go to paint, I use this as a little, for the alligator clips, that's a little place to clip on those. And it holds really, really well. So we've got this much done. Next thing we're going to do is strip the paint. Now you can use anything. I've used a mason jar, just throwing the cars in there. This is a stainless steel like dental assistance tray. We're going to use that. And I'm using the Jasco. It's not the best, but the aircraft stripper that you buy now in the stores is pretty crappy compared to the old stuff. And this works fairly well. Just drizzle some on there. You can see in real time it's already starting to get rid of the paint. So this actually works fairly well. The original aircraft stripper, that works phenomenal if you can find it. But the stuff that they have out now is not the same as what it was even 5 years ago. It's probably a little bit more EPA friendly, but it doesn't work with the crap. We'll let this set up for a few minutes, then we're going to go ahead and wash it off. Now this die cast has a metal base, so getting the axles out can be a little bit tricky. Sometimes you can take like a pair of side cuts and kind of knock those center pieces off, just get enough in there, but usually it's just easier to do it with the Dremel, and that's what we're going to do here. Should be enough. We're almost there. And I could just pry these out, but I don't really want to bend these axles that much. There we go. Nice and rusty. So the base is not rusty. It's actually the axle. It's made out of a steel or something. This is not made out of steel, so that's just kind of the rust from the actual axle. We'll clean these up a little bit later in the process. And again, we are definitely going to reuse these Redline tires. Now here is the casting after all the paint has been stripped. Got a couple little areas where there's a little bit left in there. We'll scrape those out. They should come off. Yeah, they come off pretty easily. And we've got some on the inside there. I'm not going to worry about that on the inside. Probably won't worry about these areas either. I may hit them with a little wheel. We'll see. But the casting actually looks great. The only thing that I need to worry about is this little bend that we spoke about earlier. And I think I'm just going to lay it upside down and then tap on the sides. That should bring it flat. It's pretty flat. This is a brass hammer, so here we go. It's pretty flat now. A little bit of a bulge still. Hopefully this wasn't supposed to be that way and I'm just reversing something that needed to be done. There, that should be good. That's completely flat now. Perfect. We do have one of these little posts that are a little bent. You can also tap that flat. There. What do you know? We'll clean this up a little bit more, and then we'll also wipe it off with some alcohol. We'll have gloves on, and that way we do not touch it before we paint it. And then we're just going to paint it, I think at this point, just the original red. It's been a while, if you watch the channel, it's been a while since I've done any restorations. Well, here is my little acid bath. It's quite rusted. I'm going to have to dispose of this somehow and put it in a new jar. actually replace it completely. But the initial clean, we're just going to take a pair of hemostats. I use these all the time for this process. I've got it locked on. And then we will dip it in the acid. Actually, this acid must not be working. Usually you'll see some bubbling. So apparently I'm going to need to replace this sooner than later. Yeah, there it goes. It's doing a little bit of action there, but not much. Usually it's instant. So it is working, it's just a little bit of delay. Usually as soon as you put it in there, it's doing its thing. And that will actually give it a good clean. You really only need a couple seconds, but this casting was pretty dirty. Alright, that's enough. There we go. So we're going to clean this up with some hot soapy water, and then we'll be back for something else. Okay, we are back. We've cleaned the base with some warm soapy water and a toothbrush. That rust, it did remove that. Again, it wasn't rust, it was actually, I mean it was rust, but it was from these axles, so it wasn't part of the base. We did manage to get some of the blue off, but not all of it. So we're going to use a wire wheel. Now this is very light. I've had people comment, oh, you ruined the casting. I mean, these are little finger cots, little rubber finger cots. You can see, dirty. Did tear a tiny hole in there, but these are, I mean, these are really light. So it's not going to really cause any damage. So we're just polish the whole chassis with this. Actually even slow it down. There. You still need to get a little bit more out of there. But that gave the chassis even a little bit more of a shine. I keep on saying chassis, base, whatever. Makes it look even newer. I think that is about as good as it's going to get. I would say I would dip these into the acid, and I have dipped the plastic in the acid before and it didn't really do anything to it, but I'm afraid that I may lose some of these this Redline wheel, or the color. There we go. Perfect. More rust on that axle. Let's see, here's what we start off with. Rusty. Pick our little wheel and we get away from the rust, or get away, or take away all the rust. Get rid of the rust. Jeez. Come on now. And we'll certainly take these to the parts washer and clean them. just to give a real quick scrub there. And we need to clean this black windshield as well. Looks like they got the blue paint or black paint on that as well. I don't think we're going to spend a whole lot of time. I think it's supposed to be foggy like this anyway, obviously not the white stuff. So I think we're just going to give it a good clean. If it's got any deep scratches, which there may be one there, we'll try to polish it, but not too much. I am going to spruce up the center portions of the wheels a little bit. It's missing most of the chrome. I mean, it's still there, but it's not real present. So we're just going to take one of these Motolo liquid chrome pens and just kind of touch it up a bit. These little pens work great, and that looks pretty good. We'll do that for the other three, and then we'll be done. I've already cleaned these off, so you can see the red line is a little bit more noticeable in those. And they'll look pretty good. They're not going to look new, but they will look pretty decent. Next thing I'm going to do is take a small file and file right in between these little posts where the axle was sitting before. Remember, we had to grind that out. Now, if I don't file in between here, there's a good chance that the actual axles will not sit flat, which would then result in the casting sitting a little bit lower than it should. I've already done the front here, so you can see those little score marks. So that axle sits nice and flat, and we just got to do the back. And all I'm doing is just literally just taking a file and just kind of running it in between those two little sections. This is pretty tight back here. There we go. You can also take a screwdriver. You could actually just pry it if you wanted to. But the file is a little bit cleaner, and I think that should be all we need. It's not much. Now, if you had enough material here, you may be able to even snap the axle back into place. I have not been that lucky with any of these castings, but it looks like it could be done. But this one is nice and flat, and that is all we're looking for. Got some JB Weld mixed up here. This is pretty old, and it doesn't seem to be as liquidy as, if that's even a word, as normal, but it should work. And we're going to use this to put the axles in permanently. Now, you could use some super glue or epoxy, but I've always found that JB Weld does a little bit better of a job, at least for being permanent. I've just got a glue bottle here. We're going to set this on top of the glue bottle. The reason why I have a glue bottle is I do not want the tires hitting the ground, because then obviously it will not be flat and the axles will not rest in there. So we're actually just going to set the axles into place. You don't need much. There we go. Should be enough to hold those in place. Again, just a little dab will do. Got the glass nice and clean. Well, as clean as it's going to get. It's a little foggy, which all of them, I mean, that's exactly how it is all over the glass, and every picture I've seen has been the same way, so that's pretty normal. There is one little scuff right there. We're still going to use some plastics and just see if we can polish it up a little bit. I don't have a lot of hope in this because, again, all the ones I've seen have been pretty much the same. So let's get a little bit of it here. Ooh, guess we got a lot of it there. And you can do this by hand, which will take a while, or you can use like a Dremel, the little buffing wheel, which is probably the best method, but wear a face shield or Make sure you've got something covering you, because even a little bit like that will get all over you. Trust me, it happens to me every time. Alright, that scratch is still there. I'll clean this up. It'll look a little bit better, but I could sand this probably and then go back over it. I think we almost got it. Nah, we don't. These are real fine, so it may look like I'm just sanding the snot out of these, but I'm really not. Just seeing if I have anything even more aggressive. Maybe this would be. I think the most aggressive sanding pad I have on these is 1200, I want to say. 1500. Had to look at the sheet. So this is 1500. They go up to 12,000. This is actually 12,000. It's gone. What do you know? Hard work pays off. Sorry for that very painful and long segment with this window glass, but needed to be done. Actually, it's not completely gone. I'm looking at it all certain light. There it is. It's still there, but it's really, really thin. I've given the glass a good clean. And the scratch is pretty much gone. It looks pretty good. It looks dull. That's how it looks from new, I guess, because the back and the bottom are the same exact way. And all of the pictures that I've found online appear to be the same. Let's see here. Here's one. It's dull. And of course, that one is scratched up. Now, this one doesn't look that dull, but I think that might, well, that's not a red line, first of all. It's a black wall. This one, it doesn't look as dull there either, but that might be a repop, I'm not sure. But all the ones look pretty dull, but there's some pretty cruddy examples. But even though this is probably the way it's supposed to look, I am going to hit it with some Future Shine. And that's just a floor polish. You can get it. I'll put a link. Actually, I think I've got links in my Amazon store. I'm just going to dip it in the Future Shine. And hopefully it turns out looking a little bit better. We'll let that dry, then we'll come back and see what it looks like. All right, we're nearing the end here. The base is complete. Looks nice and clean. The JB weld has fully cured. It's nice and solid. And you can see that very little JB weld on there. Just a little bit. That's all you need. We also have our glass. It's dry. Looks a lot better. Now, there's a dull portion, which you're never going to see. It's why I didn't dip it in there. But that's what it originally looked like. And that's how they actually originally come. Maybe I should have left it that way, but warm, hot, soapy water will take this off if you don't want it on there, but it gives it a nice little shine. And then we also have the actual casting painted. It's completely done. Looks pretty good. Looks like a new one, I guess. A little dust bunny there. And the paint I used was from the Redline Shop, and it's tomato red. First thing we need to do is put the glass in there, and that just simply slides in. A little bit of an angle. There we go. And then on the back of the body, we've got hooks into the back or the bottom of the base right here. Go ahead and hook that in. Push everything down. We'll go ahead and insert our screw. there it is. But we're not done. So I wasn't sure how this connected. I did pick one up, and it's on the very back. So we'll snap that into place, and I've already test fitted it. It's a snug fit. There we go. It's nice and functional. And it looks brand new. It looks really, really nice, actually. Actually really enjoyed this one. It was nice and easy. I didn't have to do any kind of electroplating. Didn't have to polish anything for the Spectraflame paint. It was just a nice, simple restoration. And I think it looks great. I'm glad I used the Motolo pen and actually spruced up those wheels a bit. They don't look new, but they look pretty good. Of course, we cleaned up the base. We did get the repop of the dump bed. This is a 3D printed repop, and I think I talked about that earlier in the video. I was going to see if they could possibly send me the file, and of course they declined to do so. They probably thought I was going to maybe resell it or something. I would have paid them the same amount for the file as it was for the print, just so I could get it faster. But I'm happy with the decals on the print, but the actual print itself, I'm not too happy with. As soon as I popped it on the casting initially to test fit it, it actually, it just came apart, both sides, especially this side. And there was no, I don't know if they printed, they must have printed the bottom and the sides separately instead of one piece. Or it's just a real thin print, but it looks great. It works fine. Functionally, it works great. Now I can probably copy the dimensions, and since I know how it connects, and just make my own. All right, and I think that's going to wrap this one up. As always, I will put links in the description, which is located below the video. Everything from the stand to the drivers to the, to the helping hands. Actually, even the glue. This is the glue that I used to repair the shoddy dump bed. Actually worked really, really well. And I will also put links in for the Redline Shop. Now, they're not a sponsor, no affiliate links or anything like that, but they, the paints, they've got everything you need to get you dialed in. I will also try to put some links in the video or in the description as well for reproduction repop wheels. I usually get those from eBay, but the Redline Shop does have them. They are pretty expensive there. Most of the ones I have are from eBay, and I think you might be able to get some of them on Amazon as well. And I think that will do it. Again, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post those below. This may go on sale. I don't know. I may put this on eBay like I did the Sweet 16 set. I actually have a few more castings I'm going to be putting on there, and I'll maybe make another video about that. Like the Roadkill cars, I'll probably put those on there, and a few other ones that I've restored, maybe put those on there, and even some that I haven't, that have nothing to do with me. I probably, like this Matchbox that I restored, I'll probably put that on there. That's a pretty nice casting. And I've got some other ones, but look out for those. I will post a video, and if and when those come for sale. So just need to thin the herd a little bit, because I have a ton of cars to still do. Hundreds. I mean, I'm not going to do them all, but I have so many. So if I sell off a few, it's no big deal. And the grandson, he doesn't really play with them that much anymore, so that's a good thing. He plays with them sometimes, but not as much. And he hasn't asked me to do any for him lately, and he knew I was doing this one, and he wasn't interested at all. So that was a plus, because I probably would have given it to him like I always do. I would have spent a few bucks on restoring it just to have him destroy it for the most part. But he is 9 now, so he takes care of things a little bit better. But that is it. Again, questions or comments, post those below. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Ring that bell. When we get new videos. I'm going to start making more and more videos, especially now since I'm done with the Sweet 16. I can kind of move past that and just do like regular casting. I'm looking forward to that a lot. And we may do some original cars that were not in Spectraflame. We may put those in Spectraflame. We've done that before, especially if it's a really nice casting. We may do that. And as always, thanks for watching.